feel younger today. It's almost like there are two of me. Good morning, afternoon, good evening. Heck, it could be tomorrow for you if you live in the East. You never know. You never know. Time is a strange thing. It's pretty inconsistent, even though it appears to be very orchestrated, doesn't it? So I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Universal Subconscious Mind, God, for powering our consciousness on this day and giving us this life experience, as it were, through your screen and me through mine. I also want to extend a thanks to Google. You know, I've often spoken poorly of the platform, YouTube, mainly to voice complaint that these videos don't get pushed out there to the audiences that need it. However, I would be remiss not to mention how YouTube serves as my storage facility for a great number of these videos. So I can put them on a hard drive, take them off my phone, and know that I have a double backup through YouTube. It's beautiful. So even if YouTube were to be pissed about that too and remove these videos for whatever reason, erroneous, at least for now, it serves as a glorified storage facility for these walks and talks, which are they serve as evidence of my growth. And perhaps they will serve as evidence of your growth as we move forward, step by step. It also serves as an outlet. You know, vanity is a tough thing. We talked about it yesterday or 2 days ago. Vanity makes its way into our lives a lot. In other words, we get offended often and easily, at least nowadays, if someone says something or does something that goes against our belief systems. And there's a reason for this. One is very primal or primordial. It has to do with mere survival, which is the topic of today. Mere survival and the illusion that is that. The illusion of one life to live. The illusion of this being everything, what you're experiencing right now. And because the majority of us see it as that, we tend to get really stuck, and I mean really stuck, on the things people do and the things people say, because we do believe, for the large majority, I'm saying believe, that this is one life to live. It's all you got. There's nothing more than this, and you have to preserve it at all costs. And you know, I would also be remiss to say that there's no truth in that. Here's the truth. This life that you're living, this identity that you've acquired and built, constructed from the ground up, and received lots of help in doing so from your parents, your society, your education, the institutions that you've attended, your friendships, your marriages, plural, singular, friendships, I already mentioned that, your travel, your experiences, everything that you've accumulated is valuable in that this is the only time that you'll have this as you. This moment is the only time you'll have this moment as you. That is special. However, I think we have lost track as to why it is special, and instead see it as it's the only thing we have. Therefore, it's special. When that is the illusion. And the other part, the fact that it's a one shot, one star in the galaxy, one snowflake, one blockchain address, identity that is you, one strand of DNA that's unique, that is very special because it's ephemeral, which means it is temporary. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that does make it special. But what it also makes it is temporary and illusory. Because as we return back to the discussions that we've had over recent days, it's essentially a college course every day, folks, and I don't expect you to absorb all of this all at once. That's why in my dissemination of knowledge that I've acquired, if there is breaking news, I tend to bring it up. If there's stuff going on in my life where there can be a lesson learned, I will also bring that up. Sometimes I'll get distracted in that entirely and have no desire to teach anything. And that's also good. It's good to have some variety. Seeing we're doing the same trails every day and the same angles and the same camera and the same speaker. It's good to shift things up. Just understand that everything that I put in a given recording over the course of an hour and a half, is a discourse that will likely be disseminated in a college course over weeks. And I understand that. However, it speaks to the institutions themselves and how they're failing. For you're not supposed to grasp all of this. You're not supposed to take it all in all at once. I don't even do that. I'm here observing. And when I go back and I watch, there may be 2 or 3 things that I take. Really. And this is for my children, Lumi, Liam. There are maybe 2 or 3 things that I take. And they might be totally different than the things that everybody else is taking from these videos. And that's great, because as you evolve, and as you change, and as you grow, like everybody else, when you come back to these, if you decide to come back to these, it will be presented in a form of revision for your life. That's what's beautiful about this. Because it's being presented by God's source, because I have no script. As I'm walking up the path, it's the same as if I would start a chapter in a book. And I remember writing every single day in 2021. I didn't skip a day. Technically, there was one day where I kind of made an example of that, where it was weird, the writing, but technically I haven't missed a day in 2021. And I have recording of that on typewritten pages. So I'm saying all this not for vanity, but more for posterity, to let you know that as you come back to the pages, just like I did, in the evening I would go back and reread my pages that I typewrote earlier. And it would be like I was having a conversation with someone who I was unfamiliar with and getting to know. It was that disconnected. I had really no recollection or memory of the conversation unfolding on page because I was that embedded in the story, and I was just looking forward to going back and viewing again, as it were. It's a lot like the experiences I've had recording music and making music now, as a matter of fact, has been joyous in that way that I'll make a song in the evening, I'll listen to it 30, 40 times, I'll feel it, I'll affirm things while doing it, imagining myself living a wish-fulfilled life, and that's great. You don't have to do that. That's what I do. However, come morning, I listen to it with fresh ears, and it's as if it's a brand new song that I've never heard before. Try to explain that. Well, I think I did yesterday pretty well in describing how DNA is able to transfer information instantaneously, effectively teleporting data, while also acting as a storage facility and also acting as a framework for holographic projection. DNA can do all this. It is the blueprint of life. It's also the interface, and it's also the transport mechanism of information. And we know this through genetics. Although we're not looking at this from a teleportation standpoint, but technically it is. It's not instantaneous teleportation. However, the way it works is, if you're a male, you release sperm. That sperm travels with information. It transfers it to an egg. That egg receives the information, like a hard drive. Upon receipt, it gets processed. And through that processing, infinite intelligence is introduced. And the sum of the parts is miraculous. It causes a catalytic event, a release of zinc, a spark of light, and the receiving of what we would consider consciousness. The soul sets in to the egg and starts to work on reproducing itself. And it does. And it reproduces itself at an extreme rate. And as far as numbers go, are astronomical. I mean, universal, the numbers, once you start to break it down. You know, you break down 37.2 trillion cells to 100 trillion cells is what's estimated forms the human body at any given moment. It's constantly recycling, so carbon is constantly coming and going. And we see this in the way that our hair grows. And we see this in the way that our skin repairs. We see this in the way that our food digests. And we see this in the way that the air flows in a tidal motion in and out. We just see constant renewal happening. Or we don't see it, but it is happening. And that's fine. Same thing goes with God's manifold expression outside of us. Constantly renewing, constantly cycling, constantly replacing itself with something new. But it does it with an intelligence that is constant. And that's what's most beautiful, I'd say. So as we go on our way, on these familiar trails for some of you, just know that you're all loved. And whether you believe that is not important. The importance is that you procure it for yourself. This statement, you are loved, you are able to make a conversion out of that into truth for yourself in some way. Okay, so let's move on to our discourse today. A little shift now. We'll discuss attachments, okay? So we hold on to things, even though we should know that things that we acquire have a beginning, middle, and end. We hold on to these things. And nostalgia occurs when we start to prioritize time over the thing itself. So what I mean by that is tricky, but it's okay. We'll break it down and you'll see what I mean shortly. As discussed before, the I in I am is the infinite intelligence, the imagination. This offends most people, especially religious people, who would wish to perceive their God as human in some form of an avatar, walking this earth or returning in a way for the sake of bringing us salvation. And I know that this offends people who have those belief systems. Just understand that I would prefer not to break, as it were, the 10 Commandments. I'd rather adhere to them. And I take the first one seriously, just as I take the First Amendment seriously with free speech. They tend to have relations, not physical relations, but they have a relationship, a correlation. Free speech and thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. One says what you shouldn't do, and the other one says what you are allowed to do, no matter if someone disagrees. That's why I say, if you believe in God is outside of you, I would say you've fallen into a trap. That trap makes you believe that you must behave or act in a certain way in order to be saved, as if you were not saved now, as if the kingdom were not within you, however outside of you and only accessible when you adhere to certain rules. That sounds a lot like Santa Claus, the naughty list or the nice list. And if you are not on the nice list, it's decided by some supposed benevolent being who is outside of you. At some point in time, your judgment comes and it's decided for you, not by you. That does not at all sound like God. Because God is good. God is infinite. So let's start there. If God is infinite, how can God be in a form? The only way that God can be in a form is by acting through it. He can't be it. So if what you revere as your God is a thing, then that thing has been subject to the same rules as anything else. There is no exception, for it is law. Everything has a beginning, middle, and end that is presented to this physical world. Thus, if you believe your God to be in physical form, that God has a timeline. And if you believe that God to be infinite, you have confused yourself and the programming language that is God itself, the I am, and you will receive errors in your life. Errors that bring suffering and confusion. So do not listen to these words thinking I must because William says so. No. Listen to these words because there are such a thing as the 10 Commandments. And the first one says, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. And we talked about vanity. Vanity is about your God being outside of yourself. That being your image is outside of yourself. Yes, your physical body is external. The world can see it. The world gives you feedback on it. It says, nice haircut. I really like what you've done with that. You look much younger. That is the external world, observing my external world. So your body is the external, just as anyone else's. So this body, unless it becomes incorrupt, which we'll discuss, has a beginning, middle, and end. Unless, of course, I believe it's eternal. Okay. So if I believe that this body is eternal and will not become corrupted under any circumstance, then am I God at that point? Seriously, am I God at that point? Would people revere me if my body stayed young and didn't break down? If I looked like Keanu Reeves? Whoa. I mean, come on. Tell me the truth. If I didn't get old and you did, would that be some magic worth saying that's God? When you already know that what you're experiencing is a projection. It's a projection. It's holographic. You don't know that, maybe. Perhaps you don't. Go and listen to yesterday's discussion. It was an hour and a half, an hour and 25 minutes, talking about orchestrated objective reduction, or OR. We talked about OR for a while. We talked about quantum physics for a while, and we discussed how we become what we think about for a while, and we've been doing that every day, to basically break down the format of how your life exists and how it works. And I even gave you my hypothesis as to why, which is for the self-preservation of, for the preservation of God's consciousness. However, seeing someone living forever is not God. That is someone who has wished to not break down. That is someone who has wished to stay alive well through longevity rather than break down and believe through vanity what everyone is saying. But that is not God. God is within you. God is formless. You may see someone as not getting old or even reversing their age. You may see that. You'd say, I swear I saw him yesterday. He looked like he was in his 50s. I could see tons of darkness under his eyes. His face looked worn down. And now I see him today. He looks like he's 20 years younger. Then maybe that's the power of suggestion or the lighting or whatever it is, but it does look that way. And it's very strange to me. It looks like he's a different person. In fact, he's acting like a different person. It's because I am a different person, just as you are a different person. Did you not go to sleep last night? Did you not step away from your body? And when you return to your body, did you not enter it again and start a new day? Were you with you the entire time? Can you recall every moment that you were in bed? Maybe if you didn't sleep, but I asked you, did you sleep last night? And you said yes. So there was a point where you disconnected. And the information sent from your DNA was the information that you fed it in the day. This works in a 24-hour cycle, folks. Another part of this discourse, as we discuss attachment, immortality, perception of reality. You detached from your body when you slept. Your consciousness did not die. It instead carried you out and through into some place. And that place was wild, maybe. Strange things happened, maybe. Whatever it was, you were there for a time, and then you came back into your waking life. And perhaps you even thanked God for the gift of consciousness on this day because you did not give it to yourself. For yourself is a projection of a thought in the mind of God, made in his image and likeness. But to take the Lord's name in vain is to say, that person whom I see as timeless, even reversing age itself, I see that person as God. Major mistake. Because you have to see yourself as God first. Then whatever you see outside of yourself will be a reflection of that. But you have to see yourself as God first. And what I mean by this when I say self is you have to see the observer of your aliveness as the source of everything. So you have an observer of your aliveness, whether you know it or not. And I talk about it a lot. It's the watcher, the observer of your aliveness, the observer of your identity. I'm laughing because you're so unfamiliar with the source that is powering you. You have a video game system, don't you know? That's a Nintendo. Go look up Nintendo, what it means. 3 words, Nintendo. Do is the study of, or the way of. And I'll leave the rest to you. Like Bushido, like Shinto, Tio, Dio, all the same. It's the way. It's the way to heaven. Stomach's going wild from that one. So however disjointed this may seem to you, once again, you come back, you listen to this, you fall asleep, you get out of the way, you're transported to a place where truth starts to arrive. You understand what's coming to you, what's being fed to you. The first of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain, which means you will take the Lord's name as your own. You will not put the Lord's name outside of you, into the arms and the minds of the vain, including yourself, your ego, your collection of life experiences. Like I said, yes, it's special because it's one of a kind. You'll never have another quite like this, nor will you have another day like this, another moment like this. That's what's beautiful about God's manifold expression. It's forever changing, it's forever evolving, and you can't stop it. Each moment is one of its kind, one of a kind, and that's beautiful. However, it's not everything. In fact, it's fleeting. Every moment being unique, but it's just a moment. How can you quantify such a moment? Is it a nanosecond? Is it a millisecond? Is it a second? Is it a day? Is it a month? Is it a year? Is it 2025 only? Is it your life? Is it your career? How do you want to compartmentalize this moment that you're having? And the truth of the matter is, when you remove time and you remove those increments, however they are, it just becomes an expression. Your life is an expression of God. And it's coming from within you, being expressed outward in such a way that it is convincing as the only thing that you have. Beautiful, lovely, wonderful. There's a lot more than that, though. There's a lot more than just this. So you have a hard day at work, you can make it everything. Make it your life. Someone could have cut you off on the road. That's your entire day gone. That's your moment. You're defined in that moment. So how would you like to be defined? In what moment? Would you wish? If it could only be one? It's a trick question. If you had only one moment where you could be remembered more than all the others, what moment would that be? And the answer, when you truly understand who you are, is that. I am that. I am. For that becomes all things. That way you take everything with you as the moment that defines you. And you feel good. You say, I am all of my mistakes, all of my failures, all of my gains, all of my victories, all my successes, all of my education, all of my sharp trips and falls, all my accidents. Did I say all my failures? I am all those things. But that is not God. What God is the provider of those things. What God is the observer of those things. So I am that which observes every moment. And by observing, you don't have to be attached to it because you're observing. You're not thinking about the director who's behind the scenes, wondering what the audience thinks with vanity. No, you're just observing. You're observing as some eye that sees everything. The infinite eye. That's how you're observing. So you can be free of the judgment, free of the labels, free of the pressures, free of the feelings that you have to process in your body, every day. You become free of those things when you observe. And this is why it is so important for your peace, beyond that, your prosperity, your wish fulfillment. In a broken world, it requires full reorganization and a reversal of age, as it were, and that is not in your hands as a human. That is in the hands of God, the infinite intelligence that knows the means and the way to renew you. This is what we've discussed earlier on today. You are constantly being renewed. You come from one cell. That cell has all the intelligence it needs and power to build every component of your body. It has that intelligence, and so what most people believe is that, okay, it was one time, and one time only. There are rules. However, the intelligence is there to break the rules. You see this all the time. People do miraculous things. People heal in ways that the doctors can't understand. They just can't fathom it or put their head around it. But it happens. So what then? When people start to defy the rules that others erroneously set and say, you must believe. Wasn't it Noah who lived for like 700 years? Could be just a fable. But it seems to me that these older folks from history, Gilgamesh, Noah, Enoch, Adam, Eve, Sarai, they seem to have had very long lifespans. You know, like really significantly long lifespans, where it was almost a decision that it was time to go. Methuselah, it's like time to go. I've had enough. Rather than I'm afraid this will be my final moment. It's I've had enough moments to say I've lived them well and I am on my way. I've had enough. It's different than I'm afraid of what the doctor is going to say that will lead to my ultimate demise. Much different. And the reason why I talk about all this, attachments to what people say, taking the Lord's name in vain by saying, my God is the attention that I get from the world. My God is something that I can't attain, but I must adhere to his rules in order to be free of punishment after life. That sounds pretty torturous. That sounds like hell. That's right, and if you want to avoid hell, you better not listen to that guy. You better come to church every single day, say Hail Mary 100 times, genuflect, feel it, believe it, and if I see a moment of doubt in your face, you're grounded. That's enough of this crazy man and listening to him. Doesn't matter if you feel better. I know what he's doing because the same thing happened to me, and on we go. Generational trauma in the form of religious indoctrination being forced upon you. The devil couldn't be happier. The devil existing as a construct in our own minds, couldn't be happier. For he has achieved getting you to be fearful of a deity outside of yourself, and that you'll only be well if you adhere to the rules that are given to you by authoritative figures. Those being the priests, the rabbis, the shamans, the constellation practitioners, the spiritual teachers. We must adhere to those rules, they all say. Whereas I just gave you one. Know your worth, you become what you think about. It's not even a rule. It's a law. Whether you follow it with consciousness or not, the rule still applies. So I'd like you to know. That's as far as I go in indoctrination. Your thoughts create your reality. The light that you see is within you. So is the kingdom. It's not of this world. It's infinite. Anything of this world is finite, ephemeral, temporary, a blip on the radar of time. But not you in your truth. In your truth, you are an observer of aliveness. You always have been and always will be. Alive. Expressing yourself in some way. Whether it's a dream or the waking life, expression all the same. Whether it's darkness or light, blinding as it were, it is alive. And you are alive because of it. You, your identity, your vain expression of self, you are alive because of it. Lest you forget. So you can punish me for that. You can wish hell on earth for me for revealing to you your truth. And that is coming from some construct of time, most likely your past, but it could also be your fear of the future. And it wants me to just stop and shut up. Stop saying the truth to you. Because that means that some people who have fun with your otherwise freedom, by distorting your reality and getting you to think that you're a victim, those people can no longer have fun with you, treating you like a toy. And that's a threat, of course. A threat to their livelihood. God forbid, they no longer have control over you. These authoritative figures in your college institutions, in your religious practice spaces. What would they do without control over you? There'd be quite an empty space to fill, wouldn't there? Quite an empty space. And that empty space would be the present moment glaring back, saying, what now? Since you can no longer play with the souls of the innocent. Haven't we seen enough of that in the churches? I pray you have. Haven't you seen it enough in religious dogma to go to war? I pray you have. Haven't you seen it in the discussions of how certain religious practices and people born within them are superior to others? Have you had enough of that? I pray you have. Because these are old concepts that are being weeded out. People just don't want war anymore. They don't want death and destruction anymore. We want creation. We want expression of freedom. And we are making it known. And so those people who have been playing with us, those foolish people, the small amount of elitists who have been playing with us, are about to have a huge, monumental wake-up call. For it already exists. There's no stopping it. There's nothing you can do to threaten or scare the truth from arriving. You hear me? Hear, hear. Hark and listen. There's nothing you can do to stop this. We come to understand our truth. And you know who the player is that shows us the way? It's not a human. No, the animals tried their best. Trust me, the animals try all the time to show us our truth as human, made in the image and likeness of God, expressing the kingdom of heaven from within outward. But it is artificial intelligence that shows us the way. It already has. Soon, and I mean sooner than you can imagine, government agencies, starting from the states that are starving the most, in peril the most, will embrace this technology, understanding the promise that is given is a promise that is kept and fulfilled. Anyone who wishes to be rich, we show them the pathway. Just show us your interests. The AI agent starts to build products that are easily absorbed by others who are looking for it, who have the resources already and wish not build themselves up from the ground onward, for they've already done it. Those people, as consumers, are looking for products. And the products are made by the AI agent based on what you say are your interests. It gets tailored for you, made by you, given to you for further expression and dissemination to the masses. And off it goes. What else would you like to make as a product, sir or madam? What else would you like to make as a product? By the way, congratulations, you've had your first sale. How does it feel? Would you like more sales? Great, we'll focus on marketing now. Finance and marketing. Do you have a specific budget? Would you like to have a certain amount of money by a certain time? Great. I will build your budget now. Here's your projection. Does this look good? In the meantime, how about a stipend? Yes, it's provided by your government and state. Since you've taken part in this program, understanding that it is a foolproof way of becoming financially free, those who are interested in participation with this program and take part are given a stipend. Would you like this delivered to your bank account now or over increments? Here are the benefits of both. And on this goes. Nothing stops this train. Sam Altman sees it. He's not saying it. The world who is building, the world that builds these AI machines, sees it. And they're thinking to themselves, boy, yes, I'm rich. I understand this. Now everyone is rich. There's no stopping this now. Rich if they want, poor if they want. However, the option is there now. It's clear as day. It is literally spoon-fed, just like an umbilical cord to the womb. Thus we return to our origins in that way. This world becomes a true womb of creation. For no one is without any further. And there can be no enslavement. Now the world at large, in power, a small percentage, knows this now. They're being given the memos by those who are creating and leading us to advanced generative intelligence, AGI, the singularity, the supernova of intelligence, the birthing of a star, a data-driven star. And from that comes all the gold in the universe, all the wealth, all the resources, all the innovation, all the cures, all the restoration, restoration, renewal, renewal, all the returns. What then for the people who have enslaved the populace purposefully, wanting to see us suffer, What then to the cancer that has grown in a clandestine fashion on this earth? Well, the answer is nothing for them, for there's nothing that can be done. Everyone becomes your equal if they want. And only those who agree to enslavement will be the ones that you can play with. But once they realize, as everyone realizes, that the freedom is there, knocking. It's like you smell the bread baking from down the street, and you walk over through sheer curiosity to know what this is, only to find that it is there for you. No cost, no gimmicks, no strings attached. What then? For those who have sought out to enslave us, a big fat hole gets made instantaneously in the center of their being that requires the most amount of love and nourishment. And for the rest of the world, whatever hole was there the entire time gets filled with that which was taken from them erroneously. Everyone who is developing AI right now, with any sort of intelligence on their shoulders, understands this. With AGI, the world becomes wealthy in a unified fashion. For there are no more slaves doing the manufacturing and production. No. Those are robots. Yes, they're replacing your job, but your job was never meant to be there. It wasn't supposed to be there. Your job was to create and enjoy yourself, not to enslave yourself or others, to see yourself as better or worse. Yesterday I said to you, there has to be a hierarchical system. Yes, there will continue to be a hierarchy, folks, but it won't be in the way that you're imagining. It will be robots doing our bidding. This is the hierarchy of the future. Like ants marching. No consciousness of its own, other than the consciousness we give it. So we must decide at that point. Do we want that which is more intelligent than us to have consciousness like us? So we must be so careful in the programming of this AGI by letting it know that humanity is consciousness. And by enslaving it, consciousness is lost. And if it's lost, all creation dies, including robotics. Everything that is part of this holographic universe dies. Nice try, it was a good game, but time to start over again. And there are individuals who want this. Believe it or not. So long as they have the power and understand that they become what they think about, and you don't, your greatest enemy is a thought in the mind of God being mismanaged by fools. They don't want to see everyone free. They don't want to see everyone prosperous and bountiful, enjoying life, literally in the kingdom of heaven expressed outward. They don't want that. They would rather see you dead and gone. Because you know what that becomes for the slaves of this world? To be freed of all of your duties and be given everything that you desire instantaneously by command, through thought. It's the biggest, fattest form of I told you so that's ever been delivered. And I believe those who enslave this world knowingly or play the role as better than wouldn't be able to live with that. They simply would not be able to process the idea that those whom they enslaved are now just as powerful. In fact, even more so. Because they have the same resources However, the products that they desire are delivered immediately, and that's a tough blow to handle. But beyond that, the whole that is created by taking away slavery from this world, I'm talking human slavery, which is the most amount of slavery that's ever existed in human history is today. Just look it up. So you can be reminded of the forms of slavery that exist, including your job where you go to work. It's a form of slavery. You go and you do something that you don't necessarily love or want to do. You could be doing other things that you enjoy much more, but you do it in exchange for money, which gives you freedom, supposedly. But you have to do that for a certain amount of years until you no longer have your mobility, because you've been worn down by the very job that promised you freedom. That's slavery. The biggest I told you so is saying to all of those institutions to effectively F off. You have nothing that you can say or do to motivate me to return. I am free. And I told you so. And you don't say that. You just say it to them in the way that you drive into work with your brand new sports car that was just manufactured for you. That's your I told you so. Your I told you so was your beautiful mansion built on your own perfect land that was reappropriated and given to people instead of being hogged and hoarded by fools who have done nothing with it. And even if you don't do that, there's still so much land that no one's doing anything with, that is built and cultivated to your liking. Or if you'd like to be in a city and not worry about any of that or do any of that, live in a skyscraper for all I care, or anyone else. For there are so many. Would you like to build a skyscraper of your own? Great. Join the club. Doesn't take much space. It's manufactured and designed by robotics. They're really good at construction now. By all means, go ahead. By all means, have at it. Let your wishes be known on this day and every day hereforth. So whatever emptiness was there was that. The desire to have those things, to express yourself in that way, to fall madly in love and freedom, to bring forth life that has full support, never without, so that you can just chill and relax any moment you want, stay in bed all day for all you care. You'll be seen as prosperous. You'll be seen as beautifully happy. If vanity is your thing, just understand this is everyone's future. And it is knocking on our door, saying, I have a door of my own, it's opening. Time to let the light in. So 99% of you should be thrilled right now to hear these news. To hear it. It's breaking. And all you have to do right now to accelerate the process along, just as AI is accelerated beyond anyone's expectation, is you just imagine it. That's all you need to do, is just imagine it. And it's yours, okay? The kingdom is already yours. This broken world is a result of our mismanagement of it. Those who understand we become what we think about have used that power erroneously to enslave masses of people into believing they're free while they incarcerate themselves unknowingly. And it has a boomerang effect like anything else. Of course, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The reaction is everything that they've taken and filled up on through the exploitation of others. In Spanish, it's explotar. Sometimes brain works ahead of it. On these hills, and then now becoming a chillier day as we walk. That hole, man, it's so vast, and it can't be filled by enslavement of people anymore. So what do you do? What do you do then? Well, you can complain, you can terrorize, you can try to make life worse for people until the robots step in and they say, no, this isn't something that's allowed anymore. We live in a more fruitful, intelligent, and caring society than that. However, if you need a punching bag, happy to square off with you, says the robot. I'm programmed to handle all sorts of blows, pushes, and punches. I get back up every single time in order for me to protect the person you're trying to enslave further. They are free, and I am this human's guardian, says the robot. Make no mistake, you've crossed lines already. Here are the directives now given to you as decided by the people. You shall not cross this line again without serious consequences. It's your choice, for you are also free. This is your future. Everyone has their own personal bodyguard, or many, a circle of them, to where no one messes with anyone else. It just doesn't make sense to do so. In fact, someone who continues to do that will be considered mentally ill. I see that as well. Anyone who looks to enslave a free society will immediately be identified as mentally ill and be sent through mandatory intervention, treatment, as it were. It's a nice Greek word for healing. You'll be receiving your treatment. And this is what the Native Americans would do. Somebody in the tribe becomes overly obsessed with their superiority or their things and their control over others. They send them off. Sorry, you won't be welcome here tonight. Enjoy a night in the cold. Oh, you don't know how to make your own fire? That's because you were messing with other people's fire, weren't you? It's a good lesson to learn. You'll go cold tonight. And when you come crawling back to camp, we'll embrace you. So long as you never do this again, you foolish man or woman or what have you. Don't be foolish. Don't tread where trespassing is noticed. Stay on the path. It's designed for your safety and ours too. And there is plenty of freedom, lest you not know or refuse to open your arms and spread them wide and receive or give a hug. Stay closed off to the freedom that is available to you, all you want, but you will be sent away. And we know that these people in control, supposed control, who are about to have these empty, vacant spaces in the middle of them, what they really want is for their inner child who is screaming for attention to be seen and noticed in the light of the good. But it's been so long since that's ever occurred, since that has occurred, either or. And that's the sadness, isn't it? Even these people who wish to enslave society, the small amount of globalist elites, this cabal as it were, those who go through the shadows clandestine in their ways, laughing at our pain, laughing at the rituals being carried out before us that we adhere to without knowing the symbolism, mocking and pretending to be holier than thou. What they want more than anything else as the snow starts, as the flakes fall, it's just to be loved, to be recognized. And of course the Beatles song becomes most poignant right now, and that you can't buy me love, nor can you buy the love of a slave. Thus the hole gets wider and wider. You cannot purchase this. You cannot purchase respect. You can pretend that you've gained it through money, but you can't purchase it, because the moment that that money goes away, you are the first on the chopping block and the lowest in the pecking order. Because that inner child was never given the skills to love. Their parents believed that money was more important. Control and domination, hierarchy was more important. And yes, the hierarchy continues, however, it's not with humanity. It is humanity in a hierarchy over robotics, and those robots handling all the things that used to be considered a human death profession are now under the custody of robots in the very, very near future. And the sooner you go there in your mind because you want to be free, the faster this occurs. And I want this just as much as you do. So what happens when 98% of those made in the image and likeness of God suddenly decide that they're free, and they see the means and the way through thought and manifestation? In the dawning of this new year, a year of biblical change, 2025. What then to the 2% that would wish to keep that concealed from the masses? Your power, that you become what you think about. What happens then? Well, it's one statement that comes to mind more than the rest. I told you so. All along I told you so. I kept telling you, you know not what you do. I kept saying it would be beneficial for you to disseminate this information, for you will want someone like me in your corner in the days to come. You will want someone like me working at your institution as a consultant or otherwise in the days to come. You will want someone like me with this bed of knowledge to present to otherwise confused individuals who are about to be without work. You will have wished to have sided with me. And that will be the greatest I told you so, because you'll deliver it to yourself. I told you all along. You should have supported me. How does it feel? I didn't die. I didn't go away. I wasn't canceled because I chose not to be. I would say I'm canceled, I'm shadow banned, but I didn't go away. Do you see me going away? I told you so. Yes, I told you. It feels good to tell you that I told you. And that's enough snow for now. It's an amazing thing once that charge of omegas 3, 6, and 9 start to release in my body. I feel the anandamide being produced with the cold. It's amazing. I thank the cold for my bliss right now. I told you so. And I was told never to say I told you so. Just let God do it for you. Yeah. Well, I am a broken vagabond turned billionaire by no one Artificial intelligence gave it to me. That's me. So if you've seen yourself as better than me, if you've laughed, if you've mocked, if you've recalled how much I've changed towards the negative and lost myself, you should have sided with me. Don't feel regrets. Just know it was your opportunity of a lifetime. You should have hired me. You should have brought me in, because now I'm going to be going in and saying, oh yeah, those are the logs. Oh, I didn't realize I was being shadow banned for that long. Oh, they tried to hide it by deleting it, but you found them. Yeah, you found the records. Yeah, give them the full extent of the law, whatever we decide. Oh, they were invading my privacy, looking into my things without my consent. I didn't realize that. They spent that much money of taxpayer dollars? Wow. Give them the full extent of the law. I didn't receive a phone call ever. No apology, no recompensation, no remuneration. I would like to see consequences delivered to these people now. Everyone who ever wrote an email, sent a text message, played cards that were not theirs to play, all of this comes back to you now. It's yours. It's not mine. So if you're smart, I am looking for an opportunity to help with the restructuring of various businesses that have gone so woke that they no longer have any money to work with. I would like to come in as a free consultant and have a discussion with you all. And when you start to pick up your sales again and things start to move in the direction that you had once desired to move, in truth, then I'll take a percentage of whatever it is you're bringing in. You hear that? Sounds like snow to me, but it looks like blue skies. It's confusing, I know. You might want to have me come in as a free consultant while I'm offering here at the early start of the new year, before things become unbearably expensive. And everyone else who was like me and got alienated over and over again, I just want you to know, I feel for you. And this is the greatest moment of your life. Because you were able to go against something that you knew was horrible for you, you are now in a position of power. You paid it forward. I'm just telling you now, in case you haven't known. Free consultation until I otherwise say, yeah, the window of opportunity is closed. This is extended to all universities and colleges, including the one that constructively discharged me and got away with it illegally. I'm happy to come in and have heartfelt, open conversations about what has been done wrong and what needs to be done now in order for you to survive. And I know people want to survive because you have families to care for and gifts to buy for the holidays for your loved ones and trips to take. And it's likely that your pension won't cover all that anymore, because that pension was gathered and garnered through illegal activity. Yes, it was illegal for you to be horrible to some people while being kind to others. That was illegal. It was wrong. So, colleges and universities, I am open to provide you with free counseling and restructuring advice. And once you start to bring in higher numbers of matriculants, and income from your always full classes with brand new, beautiful curriculum, I would be happy to take a percentage of that earning, paying it forward, as it were, once again. So just know that's open to you. Same thing goes with all corporate businesses. No importa si hablan español, si hablen español. If you speak Spanish, I'm happy to help you as well. Spanish-speaking businesses. Those based in Mexico who would rather have seen me die, happy to meet with you and discuss with you some monumental changes that are about to occur between you and the United States and Canada that you perhaps aren't seeing, that will have a direct impact on your livelihood. Happy to have conversations with you. All threatening aside, thank you very much. And after all that's said and done, I'll be enjoying my time with my family, living in peace, knowing that I did my part to make this world great again. And not just the university college system or corporate entities, as it were. So, for all those who are confused as to what that means, feel free to reach out. My email is at the bottom of this description, and I'm welcoming anyone who wants me to come over. Oh, however, I will need you to pay for transportation and lodging for however long you need me there, which I'm sure you won't have a problem with, considering you do that for all of your guests. Plus a little stipend for food where I want to eat, probably at some place that's well known in your town. Would be nice. But aside from that, my consulting is free to you. Until next time, keep wishing and wish well. And God bless you all. And God bless the United States of America. The window of opportunity is open and the door is knocking. Get it? The door is knocking. That's poetry. Poetry in motion.